Hey, Shalom Makim. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. A double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. I'm here with the brother Kazak, and we have a topic that we're going into tonight of how the Mexicans are Israelites. So this is pretty much a prolonging of the series that the brother's been going into, further proving that the so-called Mexicans are the Israelites of the Bible. All right. And what we have right here is a book by William Fleming called A Gazetteer of the Old and New Testaments, to which is added the natural history of the Bible. And we're gonna get a few points out of it it backs up the claim and the validity of the scriptures, stating that the so-called Mexicans are of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel and are solely Israelites. All right.
Yep.
So we'll jump right into it, because what we have right here, we have page 67, and we're going to start at 8. It says, the Mexican tradition of the Teomoxtli, or divine book of the Toltecs, the famous migration from Aztlan, otherwise Asia, the traces of Jewish history, traditions, laws, customs, and manners, which are found in the Mexican paintings.
Yeah, if I could say something real quick, that Aztlan, it says Asia, but basically it's the East. It's not Asia. You have a lot of people that like to say that the so-called Native Americans, so-called Indians, the people of Indian descent of North Central and South America, they descend from Asians. That's bullshit. You know, Aztlan, however you pronounce it, basically is referring to the East, though. It is referring to the East. They came from the land of Israel. You got it out.
Okay. 11. The frequency of sacrifice among the Indians and the religious consecration of the blood and fat of the victims, the style of the architecture of the temples, the fringes which the Mexicans wore fastened to their garments.
Yep. Yeah, man, and we have, a Mexican garment with us here. Show it real quick. Basically, you can hold it for me, brother. They call it a poncho, a Mexican poncho. Basically, that's a garment, So people call it a Mexican blanket. I'm gonna zoom out. Yep. They call it a Mexican blanket, or they call it a poncho, man. Which basically it's a garment, and you look at it, it looks Middle Eastern, man. And then it says the brother read that they had fringes on the borders of their garments. Well, that's what that is. These are fringes at the bottom. All right, those are fringes, man. So that's just more proof that they're Israelites. But we're gonna keep going on.
And this right here is on page 69, starting here. And it says, the Mexicans have been farther identified with the lost tribes of Israel by the names and attributes which they assign to the Creator. It is unnecessary to quote the words in their original. They designated him the Most High, the Lord of our bodies or of life, the God of heaven, God of fire, the God of ages, the supreme, the great and terrible one, the master of paradise.
Yeah, those are all titles, basically that's scriptural of the Most High. And, we're not going to get fully into it here. And it's a book that's called, OASP. And it says a new Bible in the words of, well, it's not the Lord's name, but it says of Jehovah and his angel ambassadors, a sacred history of the dominions of the higher and lower heavens on the earth for the past 24,000 years. And it gives you the author there, John Below Newbrow. And basically, this book, it gives you a lot of history, just like the other book that me and the brother went into, Apocalypsis, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. which is by Godfrey Higgins. You know, it's similar, but something I want to show really quick, just really quick, you know, because you know, we're not gonna stay on this too long, but basically something that the so-called Mexicans called the Most High, they called him Yao, or Yaoa. You know, it says the Mexicans called their great god Yaoa. You know,
and then I make a quick point and there's no coincidence that the so-called Native Americans and the so-called Mexicans are calling upon a name that is similar.
Yep.
And that name is far beyond the name that the world knows God and His Son today. Now that they're saying things similar to what we know to be the true name of the Most High, which is Yahweh, and they called it closely as Yahweh.
Yep.
And what's the one on that?
Gad called him Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Yep, and that was Yahweh or Yahuwah.
You know.
Yep.
But that was it. That was just the point I wanted to make, because people make it seem like it's just unrealistic, like it's just impossible. But the Most High said that my thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are not your ways. We can't understand it, no matter how hard we try to fathom the decisions that the Lord has made, man.
Yep. And they were here for a long time, so a lot of things was lost. A lot of that information was lost. But you know, the brother just read in this book, you know, the different titles that they gave the Most High, you know. But anyway, you know, we have pyramids here, you know, that's in Mexico. We have pictures of pyramids, and basically, this one is called the castle of Kukulkan, or they call it Castillo de Kukulkan. And when me and the brother went into Kukulkan before, basically, you know, it means law-giving high priest, and that represented Yahushua. So this was made basically honoring, and you know, it was like a dedication to him, you know, and that's in Mexico, all right. But why were they building pyramids? You know, and that's called the Pyramid of the Sun. It's in Teotihuacan. You know, it was known as the place of the gods in Mexico. But this was made honoring Quetzalcoatl. And who was that? That's Yahushua. You know? And can we just read the scripture in Exodus? Yep.
About 11.
The treasure cities. God. Because all a pyramid is, you know, it was basically a treasure city for the different chiefs. You know, they would it was like a temple also. It was like a temple, but it also housed a lot of their treasures. But you had them, you know, in America, but you also had them in Egypt. You know, so is it a coincidence that you have pyramids in America, in Mexico, Central and South America, but you have them in Egypt also?
Exactly.
Right? You got it, brother.
Exodus chapter 1 verse 11. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses. Right.
These are those treasure cities. You know, these pyramids, man. You know, and different other things that would, you know, consist of that city. All right. As you can see here, I forget what that figure is called. Is it a Sphinx? Yep, a Sphinx. Right. So they built that. I mean, so they built that great civilization, man, that you called Egypt. All right. The Israelites made it. You know, so they built these pyramids, man. And it's no coincidence that they built them here in the Americas, here in Mexico. All right. You know, and it's a scripture. We don't have to get it. You know, we was going to get it, but, you know, it says how Issachar had understanding of the times.
I got it.
Oh, you can get it, brother. Okay.
1 Chronicles 12 and 32. And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, the heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment.
Right. So, and that's also why they built the, you know, those different calendars, like the Aztec calendar, the Mayan calendar, you know, the Mayan calendar, first of all, the Mayans, those are, you know, Zebulonites, but those men that made that calendar, they were of Issachar, man. And based off the prophecies, they would have to be, because Issachar, that was his gift. And that's why, like it says in the scriptures, I want to say it's in Deuteronomy, it says, rejoice, well, let's see if we can find it. Issachar in thy tents. You know, because you had Issachar, you know, dwelling in Guatemala and vice versa, you know, because those empires were right next to each other. Go ahead, Rob.
Deuteronomy 33:18. And of Zebulun he said, rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents.
Right, so you had Issachar that was in the tents of Zebulun, man. You know, some of them. And they were those different priests that made that calendar, man. The Mayan calendar. You know, people say supposedly, you know, the end of the world, which it's accurate, but it means the end of an age. And it wasn't 2012 that it was supposed to happen. It's just going to happen during this time. You know, it's the end of a cycle. But we also got that scripture in, that was First Chronicles. Yep, you know, about men that had understanding of the times, because that's how they were able to make, you know, these pyramids, man. You know, based off of knowledge of the constellations, you know, based off of certain science, certain math, you know. But they had understanding of the times, man. All right. But now we can get the one about the unleavened bread.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 39. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they had brought forth out of Egypt.
Right.
But it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry. Neither had they prepared for themselves any victual.
Right. So the Lord had us, you know, when we was coming out of Egypt, we didn't have enough time to put leaven in our bread, you know, that makes the dough rise, you know. So we ate our bread in haste. So it was unleavened bread, and that's how we keep the Passover today. And that's why we eat it in haste. But it's no coincidence that you so-called Mexicans, you make unleavened bread all the time, which are these corn tortillas, man. Yep. And some of your flour tortillas, you know, and you you naturally make them. You know, you make them yourself. You know, so that's no coincidence, man. All right, and there's many other things that prove that you the Israelites, but you know, it gets to a point to how much proof you need, you know. But I mean, that's pretty much the point in this lesson. Brother, you got anything you want to say?
No, that was pretty much it. And no matter how much that the so-called Negro try to denounce the so-called Mexicans, or how much the Mexicans try to denounce the so-called Negro, at the end of the day, when the Lord comes back, he's rebuilding the nation of Israel together as one. Yep. That's why Ezekiel chapter 37 symbolized those two sticks of the northern and southern kingdom coming together. And that's why in the book of Aeon it talks about how the Lord is gonna rebuild and what is
Tabernacle of David.
The Tabernacle of David. Right? So that's us coming back together as a nation. As a nation of people, man.
That's right.
And this is our comfort and our faith and our hope in the scriptures, man. So we just comfort one another with the truth and the validity and the facts of alternative information that backs up the scriptures, you know what I'm saying, for other brethren out there and for our own selves, because we feel that we're never doing enough, right? So when we doing these particular topics and lessons, it's through love, it's through the spirit,
yep,
and then it's through our own self-monitoring and self-learning also.
Okay.
But that's pretty much all I got to say about it.
Yep, that's it, man. So, you know, with that, hey, just like you built the pyramids in Egypt, you built them in the Americas, man. You know, and hey, and Lord willing, we're gonna do more lessons on this topic, proving that you the Israelites. I mean, but you know, that's it for now. All right, so we hope you brothers were edified, and to the next lesson, we say shalom.
Shalom.